All right, so we're going to build our own style sheet first, or at least I'm going to show you how to kind of get started in that path. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up Documents and go to Q-SYS Designer. You're going to open Q-SYS Designer and you'll see what you would normally see: assets, modules, plugins, styles. Well, that's what we want, styles. We're working with style sheets. So we'll go ahead and open up that folder. Now there's probably nothing in it unless you have been working with styles. Then obviously you'll have all of your own files here, but I don't have anything right now. First thing I'm going to do is create a new folder. And then I'm going to name that folder whatever I want my style sheet to be named. So let's be super creative and say Jake's style sheet. Once you have it named, open up that folder. Obviously there's nothing in it because, well, we just created it. So what we're going to do next is right-click, hit New, and you're going to create a new text document. I'm not going to name this anything. I'm just going to open it up. And this is going to be a bit strange, but you're just going to head to File, Save As, and then this is very important. You want to make sure you name the file style.css. Go ahead and make sure you save as all files, and then hit Save.
That's actually really important. You're not saving it as a text file. You're saving it as CSS. You're changing to all types so that you can manually decide and change what the file extension of that file is to .css. .txt would be basic text field. We need it to be CSS for Windows to recognize this properly.
I'll close that out. You'll notice that there we have our new text document, and here we have style. Over here in the type, the text document is a text document, but when we saved it as style.css, it recognizes it as a style sheet. So that is exactly what we wanted. I can just get rid of this guy. It was moreover just a jumping off point. And now I'll open this up, and this is our style sheet. I'll write something very basic, like I said. Maybe I want to change the color of all of my buttons. So I would write out something like button. I'll give myself a little squiggly bracket here. What's that called?
I believe that's referred to as an arbuckle.
It's called a brace.
A brace.
Arbuckle brace.
It's called a brace.
Learn something new every day. All right, I'm going to write background, color, colon, and then let's say I want to make all of my buttons green. And then I'll close that off with my brace. Okay. And then I will hit Save. Okay, so that's it. I'm done. That's my style sheet. You're welcome. I'll see you. Now, we now need to install this so that we can actually use it. All right, so I'm going to jump back into Designer. This is important. If you're not following along with me, make sure you're at least paying attention here because you're going to be doing this in just a bit with the style sheet that we have given you. So this is how you would install any style sheet that you would need to. You're going to go to Tools, and you're going to go to Show Design Resources. And that's bringing up this screen here. There we will see whatever style sheets that we actually have in that style folder. So right now I only have the one, so there it is. I can hit Install Style. Perfect. It already shows as installed. If I head to this tab next to the available one, the one we're currently on, if I hit Installed, there we can see there's my style sheet. And over here, we have a nice preview window. It's important to note this is not an edit window. I can't actually make any changes to the style sheet in here, but I can at least see what's in the style sheet so I can get an idea of what I'll be working with if I have a number of different style sheets here and I want to kind of see the differences. So we've got it installed. Our style sheet is ready to go. But you know what? My buttons, they sure don't look green. That's because there's still another step. This is something that is really easy to forget. A lot of people think they install the style sheet and they're good to go. But we actually need to determine which UCI that style sheet is being applied to. So remember, we're installing it and then we're applying it. So what do we want to do next? We're going to select the UCI you're working with. So in this case, it's not the emulator one. We don't want to change that. And then you're going to go to Style under Properties. If you select that, there you have Jake's style sheet. Perfect, the only one. And if I apply that to the UCI, there it is. All my buttons are green. Awesome. Something else that I really like about style sheets, working with them particularly, is if I bring my style sheet up right now and I decide, oh, I actually want to change it to a different color. Let's say, what color, guys?
Magenta. Green.
Magenta green. And now if I hit save, it's going to bring up this little pop-up. It says, style. Jake's style sheet has changed on disk. Reload? Yeah, I want it to reload because I want it to apply those changes. This is going to pop up anytime you make a change in the UCI that is currently installed or applied. So if you know you're going to be making a lot of changes like this and you don't want this pop-up, just select that do not show again for this session. Hit yes, and look at that. All of my buttons are now magenta. All right, and now that I have that turned off, give me another try, Patrick, a different color.
Green.
Green is, we already did green.
Blue.
Blue.
He only knows one color. You can't test him like this.
Okay, and now if I hit save, it should just go ahead and switch immediately. So now you can see that with your style sheet open, you can make changes, see those changes immediately applied if you have all those settings. It's an easy way to kind of play with it and the look of it and figure out what looks best immediately right there. You might think to yourself, that's great, we just changed all of the colors of the UCI. But that was all of the buttons, including our mute button, which is now blue. Mute buttons are usually red, so maybe we don't want to make a global change to all the buttons. So there's another way that you can write this out so that it's not necessarily a global change. And that's something called a class. You establish certain classes within your style sheet, and then those classes, you apply those to the different pieces within your UCI. So in order to create a class, instead of having this just button background color blue, I would want to first dot or period and then name the class whatever I want it to be named. So if I'm trying to create navigation buttons, I'll just say .nav. That's my class. Okay, and then I will just do what I did before, background color, go back to magenta, that was a fun one. Hit save, and now my UCI is back to what it looked like before. Really nothing special here. So did it work? It did, but there's still another element with classes. Just like with the actual style sheet, having to apply it to the UCI, with classes, you have to apply the class to the button or the copy or whatever asset on your UCI you want it applied to. So in this case, that would be my 3 navigation buttons. So if I select all 3 of these, and then I head over to the properties, there it is, CSS class name. So if I hit that, there's my one and only class, nav, and if I hit that, now my navigation buttons are all magenta, but my mute button is still red and makes sense to whoever's using the UCI. Perfect. Now, if you were looking at my style.css file, and you thought to yourself, background color is not something that I would think to type out when just deciding the color of a button. Where did I get that from? In our help file, if you go to help, we head to UCI styles, and then we scroll on down, we will see how different graphics can have their properties changed. Here's where I got background color from, right? We can see that it is going to apply to a page, a text block, a group box, a polygon. If we head down further, here's controls. That was for graphics, this is for controls. There's background color again. We can see that I can use that for all of the different controls here. If there's a check mark, it works with it. If there's not, then it doesn't. So if you have any point in which you are writing out your own style sheet or you're looking at a style sheet and trying to figure out what that specific piece does, you can probably find a little help here in the help file.